Om Namah Shivaya, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. How are you? Very good. So today we will talk to you a little bit about the essentials of Vedanta philosophy. And Vedanta philosophy, sometimes we call it yoga philosophy. And just to remind you, for those who don't know, is the idea that we are already perfect. That's the whole teaching from the Vedas that talk about the nature of the self, the nature of the soul. That is already perfect and complete and don't need anything, and perfect, beautiful, Ananda, Sat, all the time there, completely conscious and aware, alive, and also fulfilled, happy, everything that you wanted. In fact, everything you wanted, you already have, but somehow we are not recognizing it. We're all the time looking, very tiring, looking, and we're not recognizing our true nature that is already there. So the process is a little bit different than normal way. Our normal way is we have a goal, we project out a goal, and then we put the effort to get it. Right? So that's our normal way of thinking. We think that we know, and we can just, when we think, we project. And then we have a goal, then our mind endeavor to achieve it. And sometimes we are quite desperate and we do wrong thing. We sacrifice a lot of our well-being in order to achieve our goal. Oftentimes, these goals are giving us temporary satisfaction, temporary fulfillment, but it doesn't last. And then we project different idea, and then we run after that, and then we get some kind of satisfaction, and again it changes. So to think like this, it takes you some kind of perspective. You need to step back, and you need to be wise, and you need to observe a lot around you, other people, behavior, so you can see it's your own also. And from one thing after the other, we are chasing after happiness externally, and then in between, we have a lot of entanglement. What is entanglement? Is when you want something and you make the effort, and then it doesn't really give you the result, but then it creates another problem, and it creates another problem, and then it becomes complicated, and then, you know, then you feel like stuck. Oftentimes we feel like stuck. We cannot move forward, and that's a problem. So most of us accept that condition to be the norm until we encounter something like a big shock, yeah, like a awakening, something very strong happen, like we lose something, or we get disillusioned about something. You look at the news and things, you see, you know, incredible things that can happen. Our idea about life is satisfaction of desire. Okay? And then we have a different idea about ourselves that is quite strong. So each person identify with something about ourselves that we think that it is ourselves. Okay? So the idea of identification, that means the idea of believing oneself to be something, yeah, that we have very strong in our mind. And then we get stuck to it. And then from that belief, a lot of twisted projection of ourselves and others happen. So that is the way how Vedanta explains the cause of our suffering, which is the ignorance, the lack of knowledge of the true self, therefore, projection of different idea of ourselves and identification with different veils. Yeah, so veils means you believe something, yeah, but the truth is always there. The Atman, the truth is always there. But when it is veiled, it's like, you look at me, when it is veiled, it's like you cover your eyes and you see through the veil. Okay? So that's the problem. Yeah? You see the truth, but the truth that is veiled. And through, we make a mistake between our instrument, which is our body and mind, and ourselves. It's like you drive a car, a Japanese car. After some time you think, oh, I'm Japanese. I'm red outside. I'm 10 years old and I'm worth $10,000. So you take the qualities of the vehicle or the instrument into ourselves. So that's the main thing that everyone needs to remember. But we don't remember because we don't use this faculty we call discrimination or the intelligence. We're not using it. Most of the time we're not using it. Look at yourself every day. How much you use the discrimination power or the intelligence power? And we don't. Yeah, the only thing we are using is our emotions. Yeah, and so that's why we cannot solve our problem, because we keep repeating the same thing. Yeah, and we're not thinking. Okay? So in Vedanta, I say that we need to think. You need to use a different faculty. You need, because it's about your life. It's about your happiness. So you need to be able to turn within and look within instead of all the time projecting out and blaming other people. Yeah, and finding fault outside instead of looking of the way how you think. Yeah, and see how you have some kind of attachment. And that is distorting your understanding. Okay? So that's in Vedanta, it says this is it. That's it. There's no other thing. You just have to wake up from your illusion to believe the instrument to be yourself, to stop the projecting outside, which is the Rajas tendency, yeah, all the time finding fault outside, yeah, and wake up from the tamas, which is the ignorance, yeah, the strong idea that I don't know, but I don't care. I don't know, but I don't care. That's the way how I think the world is, and that's what it is. Yeah, that's called tamas, yeah, the denial. Yeah, so the very strong portion of tamas in us, which is the denial, yeah, which is the lack of knowledge, but the confirmation in the lack of knowledge. Yeah, so you lack of knowledge and you want to have knowledge, but at the same time you are not willing to look at yourself. Yeah, you are still in that bubble of your own mind, and yet you are not willing to look at it. Yeah, not willing or not capable to turn within and to look. So it takes some training in order to do that, in order to turn the gaze within, because our gaze is looking out since a very, very, very long time. Yeah, and it just takes step by step. Yeah, in order for us to be able to be awakened. Okay, our self is is um, is to be questioned. You know, the sense of the self. But we are not willing to do this because of the tamas, very strong. That's why yoga life proposed to you the sattvic life, yeah, and of study, of discipline, of questioning, of inquiry, of harmony, of you know, yamas, niyamas, of all these rules and guides of yoga, in order for you to be less thick, less denying, less confirm in your false idea of reality and of yourself. Less thinning out, like thinning out. Transparent cup in my room. Thinning out this veil. Okay. So that you can see through, so you can perceive the true thing. It's like this, you see, the veil is thick, yeah, like this cup. I cannot see through. Yeah, it's completely blocking my eye, and I feel very solid because I look at this. It feels very solid. I'm touching it, yeah, but it's blocking my eye, and seeing through. Yeah, this glass. Yeah, so I almost see you. I look at you through these glasses. I can see everything. I see Harini with the white hat. I see Swami Adi with the orange shirt. I see everybody. Okay? Because my veil that is still here, it's a veil still, but it's transparent. It's thin. So it's not thick anymore. So I can almost see the reality. So that's the point. Okay? And the reality is, I am beautiful. I am one with everything. I am not superior than anybody. I'm not inferior than anybody. I am pure love. I am not missing anything. I don't have anything to blame anybody. I don't have past. I don't have future. I have only solid presence all the time. That is aware, there's awake, that make me feel very good. Yeah, not up and down. And then I feel free. Okay? So yesterday I read some definition, very nice, you know, freedom, about freedom and happiness, a different way of rethinking, a sense of freedom. Freedom doesn't mean do whatever one like. It's called freedom. Happiness doesn't mean that attain the desire is happiness. No. Yeah. So, but freedom is be able to be, in yoga we say be able to control our mind is freedom. And happiness is be able to be, be calm, even though you are in the midst of suffering, be able to remember the self. That is called happiness. Okay? So our way of seeing about ourselves and about things are completely very long time twisted. Yeah? So we need to, the main thing, the first thing is we need to use different faculty. Yeah. Because our mind is a tool to progress in life. Okay. So we need to use a different faculty in our mind in order for us to have different experience and different understanding. So the faculty here is, we say discrimination means thinking, but thinking intuitively, and the faculty of detachment, which is the topic of today, which is step back and observe. You step back and then you observe. Yeah? So it's very difficult for people that are very emotional to do so, because they don't step back and observe. They jump in and then they react. They jump in and they react, and it's very big drama all the time. Okay, step back. That means, okay, another way how to define this is stepping back is depersonalize. Okay, depersonalize. See how you can do that. Any situation in life, try to depersonalize. That means it's not about me. Detach. Try to see a bigger picture. Try to understand something that normally I don't understand. Because when I'm too involved, when I'm too attached, I cannot see. So I need to take some time, step back. So I see from the point of view of somebody else, not the point of view of this ego self. That is cannot do this. The ego self is all the time very involved. So I need to step back and I see in an objective manner. Okay, so that's called the faculty of being able to detach. Okay, so now how do you do that? For example, according to yoga theory, there's a 5 layers, 5 veils. Okay, so the first is the physical body. Okay, the physical sheath. So the physical body is veiling us from knowing the self, because we identify so much with the body. There's some illusion there, so strange, that we can look at ourselves, the physical body, and we think like we are like this forever. Yeah, and we look at other people, they are, they age, they change form, and then you say, oh, it's them. For me, I live forever. I'm always beautiful like this. So that is called the illusion. You have to be able to catch it. Other people, you say, wow, she's so old. So then you forget that the body is constantly changing, because why? It's the vehicle that you use, to get the experience in your life, and it's not meant to be forever. It's some pen or some instrument that you use, and it gets worn out, you know. So the body is not you. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to detach from. If you want to see the truth behind the veil, the first thing you need to detach from. Okay, so every day, try to not to think too much, not to be obsessed too much with the body. Yoga is very marvelous because yoga work with the body. Yeah, but at the same time, help you to be detached from the body. So that's what happened in the yoga asanas. You work with the body, it's your instrument, you tell the body what to do, right? At the same time, when in the process of practicing asana, you become more aware of a subtle aspect of yourself. So you become detached from the body. When you do, after you do a session of asana, and then you relax deeply, and when all the energy is flowing nicely and balancing, and then you relax, and then, you know, you feel very good because you detach from the body. Sometimes you feel that feeling also of detachment, of being lighter. Okay? So this way, yoga asana is very powerful way to help you to remove from the first veil, the first way how you lose yourself. Because when you identify yourself with a veil, you're losing yourself. Okay? And when you're able to detach, then you have a picture of yourself that is more correct. Okay? So that's why you need to do asanas every day in order for you to keep that awareness of who am I. And then what else? The next second veil is the veil of the prana. The prana is up and down. In the morning, you have a lot of prana, you feel on top of the world. In the afternoon, you have lower prana, then your idea of yourself is smaller. In the evening, you get tired and you become very small. So the idea of yourself is go up and down depending on your level of prana. You need to recognize that the prana is something you use, but it is not you. So you have to also, what is the lesson of today? You have to also step back and detach. Yes, you have to detach from the prana. Okay, you use the prana, you know the prana is there, and prana is abundant all the time. And then you are sometimes this and that, you spend too much prana. This is like you spend a lot of prana doing something, and then you're draining prana. At that time, you know that you need to recharge, you need to rest. But the level of mind that you have when you are already spent all the prana, and then you feel a little bit negative, a little bit irritated, that's not yourself. It's just the prana. You see, so you have to detach from it. Okay, don't just jump in every time that you feel a lot of energy, then you are on top, and every time you feel that not enough energy, then you are depressed. You see, you need to detach. You need to understand that. You need to step back from it. Okay? And number 3, veil, is the, that's a big one, is the mind. Mind and senses and emotions. That's a big one. Okay? You can be detached maybe from the prana, but but you have very much difficulty to detach from the emotions. Okay? So all day long we identify ourselves with our emotions. We are lost in our emotions. We think that our emotions is ourselves. Okay? So at least you need to learn to say, instead of saying, I'm angry, you say, you observe, you detach, and then you say, there is anger in this mind. So you are not lost in the anger. You just notice there is anger in this mind. And your mind start to understand, oh, okay, because I just spent all my prana, so then I'm low in prana, so this anger, irritation is there, okay? But it's not me. Okay? The emotion is not me. The anger is not me. The sadness is not me. The desire is not me. And the grief is not me. Yeah? So then you detach from the whole range of emotions. So in yoga techniques, there are many different ways how you can switch the emotions to something positive. So that's already very helpful, but it's not everything. The idea is you have to detach altogether from the emotions so that you can recognize that I am fulfilled, I am bliss absolute. Okay? You can detach from the anger, but you're still, holding on to the grief, yeah, or to the desire. Then you are still trapped in some way in the emotional layer, yeah. And then sometimes it takes a long, long time, right? It takes a long time, for some emotion to be resolved. Yeah, let's say you have a problem with somebody, emotion. It takes months and months and years before you can actually extirp yourself out of that, and you realize, oh, okay, I put too much importance in the relationship. I lost myself in it. So I want the relationship to give me what I want. I want the perfection from a relationship. I want the love from the relationship. And it did not work because that's not the way how it works. It's impossible. Because you just spend so much time. So then eventually you have to understand. You understand faster is better, otherwise a lot of suffering. Yeah. That you do not expect love from anybody. You expect love from yourself because love is yourself. Yeah. So then you let go of other people, whatever they come, they go in your life, as far as that you can find that love. And from the love within yourself, then you see other people also as loving. Yeah. And then when you see other people as loving, you can forgive them. It's no problem. Whatever they do to you, whatever they say, you say, oh, okay. It's not a problem. They have a bad day, or you are compassionate toward them anyway, and they are your own self, so you can forgive them easily. Yeah. So then this is coming from when you tune into yourself, when you don't forget yourself, when you tune into yourself, you remember yourself, then you feel so fulfilled, you feel so complete that you don't need anything. Yeah. Then it's like you're a rich person. Then you can give to other people, and then your life is more peaceful. And then you see, so you be able to detach from your emotions. Okay, that's a very, very big job, because all the relationships in your life are basically the test. If you are able to do that, if you can detach, from your father, mother, husband, colleagues, friends, yeah. And doesn't mean that you are not loving. This is something that you need to figure out. I just wrote a book that I sent back to America there. So those who are America, you can get the ashram to buy it. It's called the Four Truths and the Seven Practices for Selfless Love. Okay, so please get that book. Okay, because it takes me a long time to explain. So I put everything else in a book, and you can slowly you study. And also in Vietnam, you can check the center and the ashram, so then you can learn. Okay, our illusion. And the book is like this. It looks like this. Yeah. It's not very big, so it's easy to read. Okay, so it's translated in Vietnamese. Okay, so what I'm saying is to be able to detach. And this is about that. Selfless love is that. Be able to detach from our emotions. Okay? So how are you going to do it? How are you going to be able to detach from our emotions that are since a very long time? Yeah. And it tied us, it's entangled us, it tied us. Sometimes you have to wait for somebody to die before before you be able to you know, let go, right? Because sometimes the attachment is so strong, and the blaming is so strong, and you can, you know, you cannot kill anybody, but you wait for them to die. You wait for them to disappear out of your life because you cannot solve the problem. So it's better that you solve the problem right away. You don't have to wait for anything, because the time when you are still entangled in all this identification and being lost with your emotions and your grief and your trauma and your difficulties, you know, this, it's a wasted time. It's a wasted time for you to you miss the time. You cannot enjoy yourself. Yeah. And you lost these relationships, yeah, that maybe can bring a lot of positivity to you. Okay. But we cannot, because we have this very fixated idea. So the veil number 3, yeah, you need to thin it out. Remember, you need to thin out the emotions. And there's a lot of techniques to thin out the emotion. And doesn't mean that you are not loving. Okay, it's the opposite. Yeah, but you are not functioning emotionally because the emotion veils you. Okay, you need to purify the emotion. You need to detach from the emotion so that you can be the love that you are. So that's the idea. Then at that time, you're free from all problems in a relationship. So it's worth it to focus on it. Okay. And you say, oh, you know, I don't need to focus on it. I have good relationship, good family, good husband. I don't have any complaint. Yeah, it's not true. It's not true, because sooner or later, one day, the person you are attached to will not be there. Yeah, and I think it's one of the motivation for me to start on the spiritual path when I was very young. When I was very young, I don't know how young. I was still in Vietnam. I mean, at that time I must be 13, 14, something like this. I was young. And I have the idea that, you know, I will suffer because, you know, the people that I'm attached to, I will lose them eventually. And then that would make me terribly suffering. I would suffer. And then when I was that young, and I was saying, no, I have to find the way how to not suffer. I have to escape this suffering, because, you know, the way it will happen. Yeah. So then, believe it or not, when I was young, I just remember this now. It's just, I think last year I remember that I had this conviction in my mind that I need to be free from this suffering that is waiting for me. And then I make the resolve in my mind. Don't laugh at me, but I was young. I make the resolve in my mind, kick it before it kicks you. That's what I came up with. Let go of it before it creates suffering to you. You see? So that was my decision. And then that's how it works. Yeah, I had to go through a lot of tests and a lot of problems, but, you know, the guiding idea is you are the one that create problem to you, and you have the capacity to let go of it. Like the story of the monkey that put the hand in the cookie jar. Yeah, let's say the cookie jar here. He put the hand here to get the cookies, but then his hand gets stuck because he has the cookies inside. His hand is stuck. He cannot take his hand out. So he has already the hand on the cookie, and he jump around and jump around with the hand gets stuck. Yeah. The only person that can help him is he himself. He has to let go of the cookie. But he didn't want to let go of the cookie. Yeah, so that's why he's suffering. So the idea is the detachment. The detachment toward our attachment. The detachment toward our emotional identification. Okay? So we always identify ourselves with all our relationships. Yeah? And you need to detach. Does not mean not love. Again, you know, some people, they have some big problem with emotions, and then they reject other people. Yeah. And they say, I'm fine. I don't need any emotions. You know, doesn't mean that they are free. Doesn't mean that they are free. They just have a different problem. That's all. And the problem is the rejection. Okay? So you reject something in order for you not to suffer. Doesn't mean that you detach from it. Doesn't mean that you love. You find the love behind. See? So it's not that straightforward. It's not that simple. Because if it's that simple, then everybody would not suffer. Okay? So it's not repression, okay? It's not rejection, yeah, but it's purifying, yeah, and seeing through the distortion of the mind by detachment so that you can find the love. Okay? So that's a vow number 3. Okay? Detach. Yeah, still loving, but detach. How difficult it is. Yeah. It's a different form of love. Okay. The veil number 4 is the intellect and the ego. Yeah. So some people identify with the intellect and the ego. Yeah? So that's the problem. Okay. I told story of the religion. They all have a big profession. They research in the university. They have PhD. Both parents have PhD. The wife, the mother also, and this son never feel that he's being loved by the parents. So he suffered all his life not being loved by the parents. Why? Because the parents so much identify with their intellect and neglect their heart. And then the son, being pushed to study, but not really, develop the feeling. So then it's create also problem. So the son now grow up and blaming the parents for not taking care of him. Yeah. So you can see, you can identify with the intellect. You think that the intellect give you everything, but it's not. You have to be detached also from the intellect in order for you to have a bigger picture that is the truth, that has also the love in it. Okay. And the ego comes with the intellect. The more that you are intellectual, the more the ego is big. Yeah, so this is something you need to contemplate about. Because the self-awareness gives you the intellect, but the self-awareness makes you more stuck. Yeah, even in your thinking. Okay, so you have to even let go of that, detach from the intellect. Yeah, you are not stupid when you detach from the intellect. Okay, you are just allowing yourself to intuitively feel something else. Yeah, instead of all the time has to be right, all the time has to, justify your thinking. Okay, so that's why the synthesis of yoga, or the yoga that combine, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, raja yoga, jnana yoga, is helpful. so you don't get stuck in one way of thinking. So idea is, don't identify yourself with the intellect. Don't try to understand everything. You cannot with the intellect understand God. You cannot with the intellect understand yourself. You cannot. Okay? So you need to let go of it. And you are not being stupid when you let go of the intellect. You know, some people are very clinging to the intellect, is afraid. If they don't have an explanation about something, yeah, they feel very uncomfortable not being able to explain. But you have to accept, yeah, that you don't have to explain everything. Because it's already there. The truth and the supreme intelligence is already there. Okay? So then detach from intellect and ego. Okay? Ego that is attached to all the different veils. Yeah. The ego of the physical person and say, I am a sportsman. All the time walk around, look at me, look at my muscle, look at my beauty, yeah, look at my size. Yeah. So this is the person that very much identify with the veil of the body. Anything happen to their body is a big disaster. Yeah. So check yourself if you identify so much with the body. And then with the prana, okay? And the person would just think that if I have a lot of prana, I be on top of the world. Yeah. The third layer is a person that identify with the emotions. Okay. The first, the second, and the third is most common. Okay. People most of the time revolve in this idea of themselves, of their body, their mind, the emotions. Okay. Come to the fourth is a little bit more difficult because people don't use the intellect, so they don't identify with the intellect. But still, it's very much so. Yeah, our world is a very anti spirituality because we believe in only sciences, and that's the only way. Yeah, but it's also not 100% correct. But now the sciences also become a little bit better. Yeah, it's allowed the uncertainty to come in, allow the subjectivity to come in. Yeah. So anyway, the fifth level is the causal body, the level of the Anandamaya kosha, which is more difficult to explain, which is the feeling of satisfaction or fulfillment when you have attained your purpose in life. Okay. So when you break through the binding of the karma and you feel very happy and relief and light and happy. Okay. So that is there. And you have to be able to also know that there is another level, because you have to break basically the veil. You know, you have to be able to see through and completely be free. Okay, so that's more or less the idea to remind you of the basic essential of Vedanta philosophy, that everything you are seeking for is already there. It's your mind that all the time projecting different idea, and then you need to detach from whatever that is you are thinking. And it's good to do spiritual diary so you can observe your thinking. And it's good to be very regular in your practices, so all the veils thin out. Yeah, and instead of grasping you and binding you, all the time do the practice so that you can be more and more detached. The more you are detached, the more you are happy. Okay, and know what's your weakness. Okay, that means your attachment to something. What's your weakness? Okay, and let go of it. We all have that. Okay, the level of attachment to something, and then rejecting something. We always have that. We attach to other people, we reject ourselves. We attach to our own opinion, we reject other people. So it's all the time like this. Okay, so that's the central theme, the central key, the central practice yeah, which is try to see the big picture, by not involving, not losing yourself so much in your idea. Okay, so no time for questions. Yeah, it's a big topic. Okay, so give a smile to yourself, and then say, I am free, I am detached, okay, from everything else. Okay, what idea that I have, my job, my family relationship, my idea that I'm good or bad, all this, detached from all this. Okay, and enjoy your day. Yeah, have a smile on your face. Yeah, with detachment, go through your day, nothing changed. Yeah, things you're supposed to do, you still will have do. You have to do. Yeah, people that you have to meet, you still have to meet. Yeah, problem that you have to meet, you still have to meet. Yeah, but with detachment is much, much, much better. Okay. Oh.